Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Akulmach. And big news today is Mr. Elon Musk invested $1.5 billion into Bitcoin. And very soon, he is going to accept Bitcoin to sell his cars. And I think the announcement would be made very soon when you could buy Tesla car by paying just the Bitcoin. To discuss this matter further, let me invite my friend from UK, Mr. Naval Gund. Naval has been a man of finance, and I'm sure he's going to love this discussion.
Good morning, CK. Show me the money. Bitcoin. Has it got value? What's it worth? Who knows? Yep, let's have a good discussion this morning. I mean, just because Elon Musk has ploughed into Bitcoin doesn't necessarily mean anything. But what does it mean to you? You think he's going to take Bitcoin in exchange for his vehicles?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I will never buy anything in exchange of Bitcoin simply because my country does not allow this as a legal currency. That is the first point. Second point is I don't know how much the value of the currency is. For example, if you look at the UK pound, you know exactly how much it cost. What is the value of that? If you look at dollars, you know exactly how much money you got in your bank. If you have $100, you know exactly how much you have. But in case of Bitcoin, since nobody controls that currency, and the currency will be controlled only on the internet, and the parameters are very, very loosely defined. Um, so the whole point is that you can have Bitcoin, as far as I'm concerned, with my little knowledge, but you can't really declare that as your asset.
Very true. I mean, the thing is, which you got into the word of asset. So let's talk about money in its simple form. Money was just a medium where bartering was made easier. If we go back many years, where you've got a goat and I've got a cow and someone else has got chickens, then there was a currency of, two eggs today is worth a pint of milk, or it could be worth 2 pints of cow's milk. So the interesting thing is what we've done and what we've created over time is this thing we call money. And it's just putting a value on a good or a service. And whether that money, that same amount of money today is worth one orange today or two oranges tomorrow is really dependent upon how we put value to goods and services. And it's as simple as that. And Bitcoin is just I suppose, Bitcoin is anarchy, really, because no one likes authority. And the banks have authority over their sovereign currency. And people are rebelling against that, I suppose, around the world, as we're rebelling against all authority. And Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, because there are lots of cryptocurrencies around there, is just that rebellion. Will it ever take hold? Well, the interesting thing is, if you go and Google Bitcoin, it's quite interesting to see how the value has changed over the last 3 or 4 years. And at one point, a few years ago, it was trading at about $15,000. So in theory, you could buy one Bitcoin for $15,000. And then about this time last year, it went all the way down to about $4,000. And now I think it's back up at the $20,000 range. But it gets spiked because of people like Elon Musk or whoever enter the market and come in their billions of dollars. But the thing is, if you look at the flexibility of the Bitcoin value over the years, it's not a very stable currency. So if we're going to call it a currency, one thing that we do like to know is, although the traders love foreign exchange movements, they like the things to move so that they can make their money. As customers, as a community, we do like a little bit of stability. So for instance, you've got the rupee, we've got the pound. For the last year or so, I know that a pound is worth about 100 rupees. And that's good because you can tell me what 100 rupees will buy, and I can tell you what 100 rupees will buy in the UK. And of course, it may be very different. You know, you may only be able to buy half a pair of jeans in the UK, whereas I could buy two pairs of jeans in India for exactly the same price. Okay, and this is called the market. But the thing about currencies is we do like a little bit of stability. People going on holiday when they're using this other form of currency. Why are they using this other form of currency? Because it's directly related to the value in that country of goods and services that are provided. So we're going back to very simple principles. You know, those little ingots that were presented many, many years ago. People will remember it was gold. Gold was traded. And it was the weight of gold that actually said whether you were a wealthy person or you were a poor person. So it's what we assign to it. And as you quite rightly said, India doesn't recognize Bitcoin. You know, the government does not recognize Bitcoin. So it's not a tradable currency in India today. But let's think about what's going to happen tomorrow. Let's think about 10 years' time. Do you think Bitcoin will be a tradable currency in India?
Neville, I feel that the Bitcoin is going to change the whole paradigm of the way we do business today, because our way of doing business is probably 600 years old, and we are just copying that. What were the parameters laid down by the economists then? We still follow that. The strength of the country is measured in terms of gold that you got, and so on and so forth. You mentioned about cross currency between India and UK, that has been laid 200 years back. You know, the rule of engagement are the same. So Bitcoin is going to, challenge all of that. So, in my opinion, uh, we look at stability. You mentioned the word stability a couple of times. When we look at foreign exchange stability, we are a very strong country. You are a weak country. You All that will go out of the window if the Bitcoin comes, because the whole parameters will undergo a major change. There will be no bank. All the banks will dissolve. There will be no countries even if the Bitcoin is accepted by all, everyone. There is the countries will lose the meaning of having country and boundaries and borders and so on, because ultimately there will be only one currency, and you can buy and sell anything using that currency off the internet. You don't have to open an account. There is no credit card. There is no bank account, and you can buy anything. So far, it's a big challenge. I'm sure Indian government and all other governments who are not allowing Bitcoins are basically grappling with this, but it is inevitable. Maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years, maybe 20 years, maybe 100 years. Bitcoin is going to come, and it will change the whole paradigm. World will become one big city. That is my thinking.
It's an interesting thought process, but and a lot of people out there will be thinking, yeah, that it's inevitable. But the interesting thing is this word inevitable actually inevitable? So are we looking at a real paradox here? Because the other feature of Bitcoin is that ultimately it runs out. The way that Bitcoin has been designed all those years ago when it was first mooted is that will be a finite number of Bitcoins on the market. And whether each Bitcoin is worth 1 rupee or 1 billion rupees, it won't make any difference because there will be a finite amount. It's a bit like saying that there's only this amount of gold and that's it. And by the time we eventually mine the last piece of gold, that is the finite amount of gold in the world. It may be hidden in a vault somewhere or tucked under your pillow because it's fallen out of your tooth, there's a gold filling or something, but there's only a finite amount of gold, there's a finite amount of Bitcoin. And as an economist, I find that quite fascinating, because all of my life, we talk about finite resources, but we don't really mean it, because we keep finding more. There's more coal streams, there's more oil, there's more gas, etc., etc. So the finite resources it's not a myth, it's a fact. The earth is only the size of the earth, it's not going to grow. So once we run out all the resources there, that'll be it. But Bitcoin has a finite timeline. I can't remember when this is. It's about 4 or 5 years in the future, but it eventually runs out. And then all of the Bitcoin is going to be circulated around the economy. But let's look at some of the consequences of economies that do get out of control, because this is the issue. When you're talking about monetary value, when it comes to the economy, with the government, the central bank, they're always concerned about this transfer value. And if you look at one economy like Venezuela, they were talking about 1,000% inflation. Now just imagine that for a minute. 100% inflation means the rupee you had yesterday can only buy half a rupee's value today. Okay, that's 100% inflation. It's just devalued overnight. But imagine 1,000% inflation. And one moment you're working in an office or wherever you're working, and your money is being transferred into the bank. But in the time it takes to transfer the money into the bank, it's only worth half of what it was before it was transferred. And it's spiral inflation, as they call it. This is mega inflation. And there were pictures not so long ago of people with wheelbarrows and cash in it, moving it around, buying loaves of bread with a wheelbarrow of cash. Are we ever going to get there with Bitcoin? Well, the thing is, the governments are really scared that could be the effect. And if you ask 5 economists, they'll all come up with about 50 answers. Because the fact is, we don't know. And it's all about speculation. And until my personal view, because people are going to say, so what's your view? So I'm going to tell you what my view is. I think, well, I do believe that if the banking systems fail, it could be devastating for economies. And that means it's devastating for people. We will see humanity implode in certain places. And I think that will be a disaster. And that's why during the financial crisis, most governments around the world were propping up their commercial banking system. Because what is the commercial banking system? It's me and you, actually. Banks are only there because they're lending money to people. And who are they lending it to? Me. And why are they lending it to me? Because I've got a mortgage. And why have I got a mortgage? Because I've got a house or a car. And what happens to that if the banking system fails? Well, I fail. So there is this pack of cards arena that we need to be very careful of. Will Bitcoin do that? I don't know. I'm not too sure. I'm going to see it in my lifetime, to be honest, because I'm going to go back to the principles of Bitcoin only has a real value if, CK, you turn around to me and say, Neville, you can buy my services and it will cost you 3 Bitcoins. And I will say, CK, that's fantastic because I've got 4 and I think they're worth 4. So I'm going to pay you 3 because that's what the value is I put on your services. And you say, I'm very happy with that. And I say, I'm very happy with that too. And everyone's happy. because all it is you've put a value on your service. I've accepted that value. I just happen to have the currency that you're happy to be paid in. And it's as simple as that. If Bitcoin is going to be successful, if any crypto is going to be successful, it will need to have a value in the marketplace for goods and services. Has it got it? Will Elon Musk really turn around and say, you can buy one of my very expensive vehicles for a Bitcoin? If Bitcoins are worth $200,000 each, what are we going to do? Cut a Bitcoin up? It's half a Bitcoin, it's 0.2 of a Bitcoin. I don't even know how this market is being traded. Can you trade in less than one Bitcoin? Who knows? I'm not so sure you can, to be honest. But as I say, it's all those unknowns. Sorry that people are going to be a bit confused with this today. But what do you think about all that?
Well, Naval, I think it's a matter of time, as I said earlier, it's inevitable. Earth must unite into one big city with one currency, whatever the parameter can be. It's just a matter of debate. Like you said, what is the value? Oh, we can come up with a value, but what is important is we should have one currency. Why? We are thinking of colonizing Venus, we are thinking of colonizing Moon, and also Mars. All of these destinations will have a separate currency. Then you will not have dollar, you will not have Indian rupees, you will not have UK pound. You will have to have a Earth Bitcoin. You will have to have a Mars Bitcoin and Moon Bitcoin. So I think that is inevitable. If we are going out there to set up new colonies, we must have new currencies.
It's a fascinating idea. I did ask someone the other day, if you were starting a university on Mars, what would be the subjects? And the answer is, well, they wouldn't be the subjects we're teaching today. There'll be something very different. Why? Because Mars is a long, long way away, and Mars is only going to be a stepping point for the next world that we potentially inhabit. Maybe we're almost there, Jim. It's life, but not as we know it. Going to the Star Trek arena. Beam me up, Scotty. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, it's a fascinating subject, CK. Thanks for bringing it up today. I'm sure it'll get people thinking a little bit. Even if you can't afford Bitcoin, it's a currency that's out there. Whether you can trade it or not, well, that's another issue.
Well, it is out there, and we also know for sure that a lot of uh, uh, laundered money is also stored in Bitcoin with the hope that one day they will become legal tender and all this money will be theirs. So I think with this statement, we can end our discussion today. It's a very long subject, requires a lot of graphs and, uh, you know, 600 years of economic history to discuss before we come to Bitcoin. So Naval, thank you very much for giving us your great ideas about Bitcoin, and I'm sure we might see Bitcoin coming legal in some way, probably to buy softwares. We can buy small things maybe, and that is how is a logical start for Bitcoin.
You never know. Whatever it is, enjoy the rest of the day. We've still got dollar, we've still got the rupee, and we've still got the pound. So go and enjoy yourself.
Yes, sir. So we will catch up again with something more interesting tomorrow. Naval, you have a nice day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.